Hey folks, how's it vacations? And welcome to my rant on Total Rehash, aka Total Recall, Total Recom, fucking remake that just came out this year, starring Colin Farrell, directed by Len Wiseman. No, I didn't see this in the theater. I found a cam though, which is just about as good quality as DVD, and saw everything I needed to see. In fact, I saw it a long ass time ago. It's not like I think it was like a month, a few weeks, couple weeks or whatever. Because I saw it with Matt. Remember Afterlife when he wanted to see it, so I joined him, and I already know his opinions on that movie, and the fucking lens flares. God, this movie has so many. It's absolutely unbelievable how many lens flares that this movie is able to cram into its 118-minute running time. I swear to God, there's like a lens flare every 30, 40 seconds. So, basically, it's another one of those remakes that didn't need to be made, period. I mean, seriously. Let's remake one of Paul Verhoeven's classics. Yeah, and let's add a bunch of shitty CGI. Let's instead of having charismatic lead in Arnold Schwarzenegger, let's have a completely uncharismatic lead in Colin Farrell. Okay, let's take the character of Richter and let's combine him with Douglas Quaid's wife and call it a day, and then cast Kate Beckinsale as this hodgepodge of a character. Let's have Melina be played by basically Jessica Biel, but really not do very much except just run around and maybe kind of do some fighting, but not really. I think she gets in like a cat fight with Kate Beckinsale. Let's make it PG-13. So let's take out what made the first film so memorable, because it's got all, they basically gave the film balls and intensity and violence. When people get shot, blood actually comes out. People bleed. Not, they don't bleed air like it seems like in this movie. Let's take O'Hagan, who was a major part of the first film, and let's completely fucking have him as a wasted character and cast a good actor to play him in Bryan Cranston. And let's have Bryan Cranston barely be in the movie at all except in the end. And let's have a fight between Colin Farrell and Bryan Cranston at the end. And you as the viewer, since Colin Farrell is such a wimp and such an unbelievable performance, you cannot buy this guy at all in this role, the thought pops into your head more often during this fight that Bryan Cranston could kick his ass. Not really what you want out of a movie with your villain. If that thought creeps into your head that the villain can hand the hero his ass, that's probably, that's a good point at times, but in this instance, it wasn't that, he was intimidating or whatever. It was just, I could buy that Bryan Cranston could kick Colin Farrell's ass, because Colin Farrell's a freaking weak-ass bag in this movie. I'm being over the top. Sorry. I don't like this movie. It fucking sucks. So, anyway, the basic plot in the movie is basically the same plot as the first movie, as the fucking original. The movie opens up with a dream, but this time it's not nearly as exciting or cool as A Dream on Mars. It's just him running away from some cops or whatever who look like basically they look like the, I think they look like the, I forget the name for them. Like they're the black judges from Judge Dredd, or they look like the robots from iRobot. But anyway, they're just normal. I think they're just normal soldiers. So these soldiers shoot this rope gun or some shit at Colin Farrell, and then he wakes up. Yeah, it's a light bright rope gun. Yeah, instead of having real weapons and guns in this movie, we have fucking guns that shoot light bright ropes. Good one. So then you basically introduce the plot, which happens in this Republic of the Fall, which is obviously China, but instead of the filmmakers, instead of the producers not making everything obviously China in this film, they decided to wait till after the movie was in the can and then change it because, oh, it's controversial. We can't make it about China. They might not like that. Newsflash, you fucking moron. You stupid, dumbass producers. Maybe you should have, I don't know, made that decision from the fucking moment you started filming instead of afterwards, you dipshits. So anyway, it's not Bible at all that this is Australia. I'm supposed to believe that this obviously looking Chinese Blade Runner knockoff place called The Fall is supposed to be Australia? There's not anything in this frickin' any of these sequences with The Fall that looks anything like Australia. Nice one. The only people who would buy that that's Australia are people who don't have a brain. Sorry. I hate to say it, but yeah. So, anyway, you get into the whole fugitive thing, or he goes to recall. He's still a worker, but this time Quaid is he basically helps build robots instead of, building construction work. You have basically pretty much the same sequences. You have like a scene where Bokeem Woodbine basically plays the role that the other coworker played. The one, you blabbed, Quaid, you blabbed about Mars. Basically, Bokeem Woodbine plays Harry. And Harry basically says the exact same line about recall that Bokeem Woodbine just says the same thing that Harry did in the first movie. This movie, I swear to God, at least 50% or maybe even more than that of this film's dialogue is just totally taken from Total Recall, from the first movie. It's just totally taken from the first film. So, it's impossible for the viewer not to, I don't know, compare this movie to the first film because they're stealing dialogue from the movie right and left. So, and it also really doesn't help either that this film, it has action, but the sequences aren't thrilling. They're not exciting. It's action without adrenaline. It's action without a soul. It's action without spirit. It's carnage without, without a conscience. It just have all this shit happening, but I don't feel for the character for one. Colin Farrell, his performance is terrible. It's like he's not even there half the time. Kate Beckinsale was okay, except for the time she had to keep spouting these stupid wife puns. Jessica Biel didn't do much for me. Said she was a hot piece of ass, and that's about it. The plot, what about, I guess it goes to recall where John Cho, who does a good job in this role, but he's only in it for that one scene, and he goes to recall, and the machine looks almost exactly like the machine in the first film, and he gets the memory implanted, and he does this kind of cool fight scene where he takes out and basically shoots a bunch of these cops, and just like expertly, but it doesn't have the visceral gore and punch to it that the scene in the Verhoeven's film had. But you have that, and then you have some kind of interesting idea where they shoot this gun with these little cameras, these little tiny little sensors that are like cameras all over the room, and I thought that was kind of cool. But that one scene that you already saw in the trailer, where Colin Farrell takes out a bunch of people, is the only time that he shows that kind of expert marksmanship. Why? Why the fuck is that the case? I thought Hauser was supposed to be some master spy, some expert in marksmanship or whatever, or a good fighter or whatever. He doesn't show any of that after that. The rest of the film is just him falling on top of shit, like the Cinema Snobs just said, getting his ass kicked, having Jessica Biel save his ass. Yeah, that's really not, or just running around on top of rooftops and ripping off Fast Five. So, So basically, you got a really generic film here, folks. A generic pile of Gerber baby food shoved straight up your dick hole. Not a good thought. But the movie isn't a good. The movie is just about as terrible of an experience to sit through. So I think it warrants that. So anyway, you get a more of a plot. What plot there is basically the same fucking plot from the first movie, but let's take away the mutants. But then we still have the three-titted chick. How the fuck does that happen? I don't know why why is there a chick with 3 tits if there's no mutants? It just doesn't compute to me. Why would a woman decide to honestly decide to get a third breast? I don't know. So if there's no mutants and you have a 3-titted chick, it's just weird. And plus, right off the bat, you see the 3-titted chick. So you see 3 titties, and then automatically like, all right, it's like this movie's like, hey, remember that scene from the first movie? Remember that? Yeah, remember that? Yeah, that kind of behavior in a film just makes me want to watch the first movie. It makes me want to watch Paul Verhoeven's Total Recall. Because, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that scene from a much better movie. Well, thanks for reminding me of a much better movie that I should be watching right now other than your piece of shit remake. Why the fuck do remakes keep doing this shit? It's not even a homage to me. It's just ripping it off. It's just rehashing. It's just ripping off scenes from the original. And then you have rehashes. And what we call a total rehash is because this movie, every sequence you see, almost every set piece just reminds you of another movie. The robots remind you of iRobot. There's sequences with the robots that just remind you of iRobot. The car chase with the flying cars, which has zero adrenaline kick to it at all. There's no punch. There's no power to it. Nothing. Maybe it's because it looks fake. Looks like I'm watching a cutscene from a video game. And that's one thing I'm sick and fucking tired of seeing in movies. I really am starting to... I've already not liked the advancement of CGI and how it's taken over practical effects. But to the point now where you just have shit behind a green screen and it's obviously a CGI background and you obviously have CGI sequences of action with not even real people, I have a problem with that because it just takes me out of the movie. I can't... In Total Recall, there are some moments with the head coming off, the lady's head coming off. Did 2 weeks. Well, that's another thing the movie rips off. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Oh, wait, it's not her, it's Colin Farrell. But it's not a surprise anymore because you showed that damn clip on the internet before the movie even came out. Nice one. That was a smooth move, I think. Was it Sony? Was it Sony who released this? With Touchstone Pictures? What? Who the fuck released this movie? Total Recall? Yeah, it's Sony. So right now this movie has absolutely tanked. Thank God. Let's see, it was made for $125 million. At least the budget shows on the screen. But as of right now, has only made $51 million in the United States. That's a flop. That's the second remake flop for Colin Farrell. Can we stop casting this guy in movies? Can we stop him from ruining classic fucking movies with these shitty half-ass reboots? Or remakes, or refakes, or reshits, because it's like, you took a shit and then you gotta take another shit. It's like, well, remember when you gotta go, and you go, and then, you're in a hurry, and so then you still feel like your stomach's gotta, unload some more, but then, you gotta go, you got something you gotta do, and then, like, in the middle of something you gotta do, then you gotta take a shit again. That's a reshit, and that's what this movie is. So, fuck, you kidding me? Why would you waste $125 million in this shit? Did anybody at Sony think this was going to be a hit? No, they just wanted to make some cheap bucks. Problem is, they didn't make cheap bucks. They didn't make back their budget. They might as well just taken $125 million, cut it up with a bunch of scissors, and threw it in the air like fucking confetti. Because that's basically what they did with wasting $125 million on this fucking movie. It was doomed from the start. So, anyway, I'm trying to think of what I was talking about. Okay, anyway, after the plot moves on a little bit, after he escapes from the police, and shows his expert marksmanship one time, he ends up getting a call from his hand phone, which is kind of cool. Then he gives it to some guy. Kate Beckinsale's on its tail. He meets Jessica Biel. They get into that car chase I was talking about that looks fake as fuck. That's what someone CGI. I'm tired of seeing CGI in sequences like you have. I'm just tired of seeing incomplete sequences with like a practical effect of a car, and then everything in the background is CGI and fake ass looking. I'm tired of seeing it because it takes me out of a movie. I don't feel what I'm watching. I just don't know how to explain it. It's like I can't get involved in the characters. I don't feel any suspense because I know it's not real, and it looks too much like a damn cutscene from a video game. And to be honest, if I want to watch a cutscene from a video game, I'll play the fucking video game. I don't go to a movie to see cutscenes from a video game unless it's a completely CGI animated film. That's how I feel about Avatar. I don't buy it. I'm not in suspense about anything that happens in that movie because everything looks so fucking fake. But don't get me wrong, practical effects, there's some movies that can be like that too. I mean, Cameron's Closet, I really love the movie, but Carlo Mambrodi's monster effects are pretty fucking chintzy. But I thought the movie and the story was good enough to, carry the film. So the chintzy monster effects, I let it slide because of the low budget. Here you got $125 million, and the CGI at times looks like shit that I see on the Sci-Fi channel. But at times it also looks really good. But at times it doesn't. But the practical effects were good, like the robots looked good, but they didn't have jack shit to do except just get, basically, they were cannon fodder. And then after that unexciting, car chase, which just reminds you of The Fifth Element. That's another thing that it rehashes. It reminds you of The Fifth Element. Or Blade Runner. And then you get, like, I guess you figure out the resistance and the freaking that, it's not... Instead of Quado, it's some guy named Matthias, or Matthias Hughes, or some shit. Well, that'd be better. But no, it's Bill Nighy plays Matthias, who's barely in the freaking movie. Then you have this scene, another fucking rip-off scene from the movie, the original, from the remake. Not from the remake, from the original movie. You have fucking Bokeem Woodbine comes in, he says, like, it's not real, man. You're right back at Recall. And this scene, I swear to God, drug on for like 10 fucking minutes. It wouldn't fucking end. And then the lens flares in this goddamn scene were so fucking bright that even the actors couldn't fucking see. Good one, Lenny. So, that scene was pointless. The motivation behind Quaid shooting the Bokeem Woodbine in the head was stupid because all he did it because he saw not Kate Winslet, because he saw Jessica Biel cry. So she showed up. Didn't she show emotions earlier before this moment? It made sense in the original because the guy basically was sweating because then Arnold was like, all right, he's lying. You're dead. Here she cries. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But whatever. So then the movie just continues to go on from there. You have like a sequence in the elevator or the fall, which this is like there's this elevator, I guess, in this movie that they drilled a hole basically to the center of the earth, to the core of the earth. And this freaking elevator is supposedly able to go through the fucking center of the earth and out the other side. If you're not laughing right now, after you heard that, I'd be surprised. I'm surprised you're not laughing at that fucking bullshit. So it goes through the center of the core of the earth. Doesn't fuck up the magnetic field or anything on the earth. I don't know. If you went through the core of the earth multiple times, I think it would fuck something. I don't know. But anyway, And this is all supposed to happen in like 2 minutes or something. Right? Fucking kidding me, really? So you get like an action sequence with the robots, and one of the robots gets their arms cut off, and another reference to the original, but it's not as awesome because, in the original you had the blood and gore, Michael Ironside getting his arms cut off by the elevator, and Arnold has his arms in his hands. He's like, "See you at the party." That's awesome. There's no good one-liners in this movie either, or awesomeness. This movie is the anti-awesomeness. It's fucking shit. And then basically, you had an action figure in the elevator, but gravity doesn't take place for some reason during the scene for some reason, and then it takes place later in one scene, and you get like a zero gravity scene, which is kind of a cool idea with Colin Farrell shooting robots and soldiers and stuff, but there's just no punch to it. There's no action. There's no adrenaline rush to it. It's just a scene that's just there. I think also what adds to the film being utterly forgettable is and lame is the score. The score is just is another rehash. It's another score I've heard a million other times in a million other movies of this type, and it doesn't add to any of the sequences. In fact, it takes away from the scenes. Because the score is so fucking mind-numbingly forgettable and bland and unoriginal that it just honestly makes all these other scenes feel bland and unoriginal too. But at the same time, these scenes are also bland and unoriginal. So basically, it's fine. The score is perfect. The score works perfectly for this bland and unoriginal film. So, I guess it's a match made in heaven. So anyway, we get to the climax after the zero gravity sequence, which then automatically reminded me of the unused script for Alien 3. It pissed me off because I'm like, damn it, why didn't we have that scene in Alien 3? Why didn't we have fucking zero gravity Hicks and Bishop shooting freaking aliens in zero gravity? That would be so much better. But no, we have that scene in fucking Total Recall, the fucking remake. Fuck. It's depressing. So anyway, then you get to this ending where Colin Farrell gets in a fight with a robot, punches it straight in the fucking face, and doesn't break his hand. Yeah, that's believable. Then he gets in a half-ass fight with Cohagen, and then he promptly stabs, and then the freaking elevator, the fall, basically blows up and falls into the earth and whatever. Then after all that, you think the movie has reached its... But, and I do agree with what Cinema Snob said, too. He said that Brad was talking about how it felt like the movie never really reached its climax. You didn't know when the movie was getting to its act or climax. You just realized that it was getting ready to be over as soon as Cohagen died. I'm like, yeah, I gotta agree with him. He made a good point there. So, yeah. Needed to build this up better. And that's the problem I had with the film, is that you had these action sequences, but there was nothing building up to them. It was just everything before an action sequence was just padding or filler to lead up to it, padding or filler to take up the time before another action sequence showed up. So there was no suspense. So that's why there's no adrenaline. There's no spirit. There's no soul to these action sequences because there's nothing to support them. So it's just action for the sake of action. Explosions for the case of explosions, and gunplay just for the sake of gunplay. So then basically the ending, after you think it's the climax, the fall blows up. Kate Beckinsale shows up again while Colin Farrell is recuperating, and he basically shoots her for all her troubles, and it's a pretty anticlimactic ending for the character, for Kate Beckinsale's character. Lori. Just call her Lori Richter. There we go, Lori Richter. That's what they probably should. They should have just called her Lori Richter. And then, basically, you get an ending where it kind of feels like maybe it's a dream, maybe it's not. I don't give a fuck. The movie ends, and I'm like, thank God. And I also forgot the one important thing, that the first thing you see when this movie starts up is original film. Yeah, this movie is not an original film. What the fuck were these producers thinking? We're going to produce a movie. We're going to produce, instead of producing an original film, which is our production company, let's produce a fucking remake. Great idea. So anyway, I really don't know what to say about the movie, except it's forgettable. It's a fucking rehash. It's a total waste of time. Too many. It's just the most memorable thing that I got out of this movie is the fucking lens flares. That's the most memorable thing about this movie is the fucking lens flares. It's incompetent. Incompetent directing, or cinematography, whoever was responsible for this many fucking lens flares. Jesus, man. Was not a good idea. So then, also, top of this lens flare bullshit, of course I have to blame Star Trek, the reboot, the backdoor reboot, because more and more I think about the Star Trek movie, the more and more I think about how it was supposed to be a prequel, and then they just fucking did whatever the fuck they wanted to. That does kind of piss me off. So, I blame Star Trek for the fucking lens flares. And so, I guess Len Wiseman saw Star Trek and it was in the future. So, it's like, no, since Total Recall is supposed to be in the future, here's a bunch of lens flares. Straight up your ass. Or blind your ass. Or blinding your eyeballs. There's too many... It's just... I almost thought, if I was in the theater, I would try to do the whole thing from Terminator Salvation, Christian Bale's Rant. It'd be all like, did you ever think that's fucking distracting? All these fucking lens flares. Shining in my eyes. It's not very professional. So, really, it's not professional. All these fucking lens flares. It's not. It doesn't add anything to the film except it's fucking distracting. So, yeah, Matt and I were watching the whole movie, and we just played the game of Spot the Lens Flare. Lens flare! Lens flare! Lens flare! I gotta give him credit. That's what kept me awake, I guess, is that, all these fucking lens flares kept popping up, so I'm like, spot the lens flare. Okay, now this movie, I can watch it now just for the sake of a stupid game where I get to be like, lens flare! Jesus. And also the fact that it just doesn't become its own film. It's not like a remake where you have like The Blob or The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, or The Fly, or even Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. It never becomes its own movie. It's an example of today's Hollywood, which just shits out fucking wastes of space for a quick buck and doesn't seem to give a shit, like it's no big deal. And it's just a tarnish. It's a fucking spit stain on the good name of the original movie of Paul Verhoeven's classic sci-fi action film. And there just isn't anything fucking good to say about this movie. Sorry. There's like a couple good moments of like the hand phone was kind of cool. Some good ideas. But none of it really adds up to a fucking satisfying experience. It's good ideas, but there's nothing to support these ideas. So, I really don't know what to say except I'm going to end it. I'm going to review it. I got to give it a rating, but first I'm going to give this little quote from Paul Verhoeven, which my friend Matt actually found this quote recently. This is from Paul Verhoeven. This is a quote from Paul Verhoeven. Arnold, being the original Total Recall, made the movie a little light, and I think that's very important for these Philip Dick stories. I think if it would have been done in a straight way, I'm not so sure that it would have worked. At least, not at the time. And recently in the Total Recall remake, it did not. I get to say that because the producer of the new one said that the original was cheesy or something. And Colin Farrell called it in an interview kitschy. So I dare to say that his version was not good. So Paul Verhoeven himself even thinks this is shit. He just did it in a more suave, manner than me, but it's shit. It's still shit. It's just, God, even Paul Verhoeven, the producer has the ball. What is wrong with producers and people today thinking that older movies are cheesy? What the fuck? I really don't think these people who think Total Recall the original was cheesy, or think, what? Do these idiots think RoboCop is cheesy? I think they do. We need to interview the producer of the RoboCop remake, because I probably would think he would think the original is cheesy because of that fucking bullshit screenplay, which tries to make fun of the RoboCop design. Oh, it's like an 80s toy. I mean, they're doing that with the Turtles reboot, too. With the fucking, oh, those masks, what, do we look like children's toys or some shit? What the fuck? What is it with this emphasis on older movies? And, like, not only let's bash the older movies, but, yeah, I'm gonna say the producer is a fucking moron. It's a fucking ass. It's a fucking pimple on my ass. Because, seriously, I just need to pop it and get him out of my fucking way. Seriously. Really? It's cheesy. Then why are you stealing lines and sequences from this supposedly cheesy movie? You fucking hack. So anyway, this movie sucks. My dick in backwards, or just sucks it off. It just sucks it off, completely off. It's like a fucking super suction vacuum that just tears my dick straight off, and then you know, sucks my balls out too for good measure. It's fucking shitty ass movie, lame, fucking unoriginal, just fucking generic as all hell. Nothing good to say about it. Nothing original. Actually, a couple things that are good ideas, but I don't necessarily say they're original. It was probably done before. And kind of stupid ideas. A hand phone, I don't know. Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Hello? I think it'd be a stupid idea in the future to have a phone in your hand, because God knows you can hit your hand and lose signal or some shit. High five. Oh crap, I broke my hand. Oh crap, I broke my phone. But anyway, this movie just sucks. Dick, man. I really don't know what else to say except, you know, that quote, Paul Verhoeven thinks it sucks. I agree with him. It's a shitty ass movie with a shitty ass lead, and Colin Farrell, he needs to stop. Why does he keep getting fucking work? I think he keeps getting fucking work because he's one of the few actors that's willing to just take whatever role just for a buck. He's like, fuck it, you know. Oh, you want me to be in a Fright Night remake and play a fucking Jersey Shore vampire? Okay, all right, bro. I'll bro up all I want. You know, how much am I getting paid? You want me to try to take the reins of Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Total Recall remake? Okay, how much am I getting paid? I think he's only getting these roles because he's not only willing to take whatever he can to get money, but I think because he just not afraid to, I guess, degrade his career even further. He's just willing to do so for money, or he's just a fucking idiot. I don't know which one. Maybe it's a little bit of both, but you know, his choices have not been good for his film, you know, for choosing, you know, films, for example. I would think that Joel Schumacher's respect for Colin Farrell has probably gone down the tubes after this fucking movie and his kitschy comments, because Joel Schumacher, in my opinion, directed Colin Farrell's best movie anyway in the first place, in Phone Booth. But anyway, this movie is a piece of shit. It's a total rehash. Total fucking massive amounts of lens flares. I'm surprised it didn't even fucking give me... I don't know, I'm surprised it didn't give me temporarily blind my ass after watching, like, I don't know, hundreds of lens flares throughout the whole movie. Which is the most memorable thing about the film, because everything else about it is so bland and fucking boring and pointless. So I really don't know what else to say about Total Recall or about Total Recome. But was it rated out of 5 stars? Fuck it, I'm not gonna give this shit. It doesn't deserve anything. Fuck it, I'm not. Fuck it. 0 out of 0. There's no negative. Alright, negative 5 stars. But even that's too much. 0. Nothing. A fucking goose egg. Basically what Total Recall gets from me, my rating is, boo! You suck! But anyway, thanks for watching my rant on Total Recall. And I will see you guys later. See ya.